You were listening to Camper Radio. You were listening to Camper Radio.
Oh yes, good morning. Good morning. It's a wonderful Saturday morning and it's about the time we ever start again. But as you know, this voice is familiar. I'm very sure you all will be expecting the brown man on here this morning to anchor the KomonSense show. But it's Oluwato Big, Julie representing, and the wonderful lady as usual, the
Ololade.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
All right. So as you'll heard, this is KomonSense, and KomonSense is our motivational show where we listen to amazing speakers that would talk about different things. Now they already have this wealth of knowledge, and they are here. We'll be playing one of their clips actually for you to listen to and also get some insight and knowledge from their wealth of experience. So Lalade?
Yes, as you know, this is KomonSense. We're making common sense today. We're going to be listening to someone who will be speaking to us and helping us, motivating us and letting us understand some very few things.
Okay, so we'll be listening to, should we?
Nah.
Okay, no, we're going to disclose the name. But if you know something, if you're eager about love, about relationship, today, you need to listen to this. You need to invite your friends. Tell your friends to also tune in bit.ly.com/campiradio. You all know the link now. So share the link to your friends for them to come online because you shouldn't miss out.
You can't miss
this
at
all.
One. No. You can't miss this one at all.
You have to stay tuned right now, and the next voice you'll be hearing is from one of our very own mentors.
You were listening to Camper Radio.
Fela Durotoye is on a mission to build a generation of excellent leaders committed to building their country into the most desirable nation to live in.
Fela's mandate is to teach these nation builders how to live a lifestyle of leadership and excellence for accelerated developments in their personal and professional lives as they collectively build Nigeria into the most desirable nation to live in by December 31, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, Fela Durotoye.
The best thing that can happen to you is to find the one you love and stay happily married ever after. The worst thing that can happen is for the marriage to fail after a successful wedding. Frankly, you're better off not getting married at all than getting divorced. In fact, studies show that the financial cost of a divorce is just as much as the cost of an average wedding. But it is the emotional cost that is far more than anyone can measure. The devastation on the health and well-being of the couple and their children, in-laws, friends, the society, and ultimately the nation, it's that devastation that makes every divorce our collective problem. Strong nations are built on strong family units, but nations are weakened by divorce. So the purpose of this book is to ensure that fewer couples divorce. In fact, if we must build our nation into a most desirable society to live in, then we must strengthen our family units and have fewer divorces. Remember that marriages fail because of the things that couples typically say they can no longer live with. Yet, in most cases, these things were there before they got married, but they were blinded by love. This audiobook will get you to shine your eye so that you can see clearly now. So parents, go ahead and buy this book for your children. Friends, be good to your friend who's madly in love and is seriously dating or considering a very serious relationship. Guys, use this tool to check yourselves before you pop the question. And ladies, use this guide to evaluate your guy before you say that magic word. Yes. If I had to give this book another title, it would be Shine Your Eye. In fact, the big idea is to get singles, especially single ladies, to look before they leap. They say love is blind, but the truth is marriage is an eye-opener. I've seen far too many young people get into marriage and then begin to see and complain about things that were always there, but they just hadn't paid enough attention to while they were single. Why? Because they were blinded by the romance and the infatuation of love. I've spoken to far too many crying young couples. I've tried to dry far too many tears. My ears are almost full of complaints about how they are surprised by the obvious things that were there, but they simply didn't pay attention to or give enough consideration to when they first noticed it whilst they were dating. The result is usually a broken heart and sometimes a broken home. The best thing that can happen to you is to find the one you love and stay happily married. The worst thing that can happen to anyone is for the marriage to fail after a successful wedding. Frankly, you are better off not getting married than getting divorced. But fella, how can you say that, you may ask? Well, think about it this way. God said it is not good for man, and I believe that's male and female, to be alone. So, practically, it means God would rather that you be happily married. Then he states categorically that he hates divorce. Yet, according to a research report published by Gallner Nugman of the Heritage Foundation, divorce rates in America is 54.8% and 42.6% in the United Kingdom. Well, unfortunately, we could not find any reliable statistics for divorce rates in Nigeria. But further research shows that someone, somewhere around the world, is getting divorced every 10 to 13 seconds. Think about that. What is most amazing about this is even with Christians who believe that they heard God about their spouses, 51% of Christian marriages still end up in divorce within the first 5 years of marriage. So, how is it possible to get a word from God and still end up in divorce? Well, God endorses the union, that sacred institution called marriage. But the responsibility for the success of your marriage is still yours. So think about it this way. It's like God giving you a car, but you still have to learn to drive it. And the way you drive and maintain the car will determine whether or not you end up wrecking it, even though it was a gift from God. It's just the same with marriage. It's a gift from God, but you must maintain it and drive it carefully. Another amazing research finding reveals that 92% of single parents would rather date other single parents. But check this out. Whilst over 50% of first marriages end up in divorce courts, 67% of second marriages end up in divorce again. And nearly 74% of third marriages are likely to end up getting dissolved. This means if you fail to get it right the first time, it actually becomes even more difficult to get it right again. In 64% of all marriages that end up in divorce, the partners were from broken homes. So, there is a strong chance that if your marriage breaks up, your children's marriage will also break up. Now, this is a serious matter to consider. Interestingly, it's also been shown that 80% of the young people in prisons come from broken homes. So, think about this. The chances that if your marriage breaks up, your children will actually go to prison or not be successful in life is very high. God forbid. And that's not all. Studies also show that the financial cost of a divorce is just as much as the cost of an average wedding. But it is the emotional cost that is far more than anyone can measure. Findings show that half of the women and a third of the men get angry and stay angry for at least 10 years after a divorce. And doctors even go on to say that the stress associated with divorce affects the body's immune system and its ability to fend off diseases. So the devastation on the health and well-being of the couple and their children, in-laws, friends, the society, and ultimately the nation makes every divorce our collective problem. This is why parents need to buy this audiobook for their children. And friends, if you really love your friend who's seriously dating, give this book to that friend. You need to also get this book into the hands of everyone you love who's considering a serious relationship. Remember that strong nations are built on strong family units, but then nations are weakened by divorce. The purpose of this book is to ensure that fewer couples divorce. And clearly, if we must build our nation into a desirable society to live in, then we must strengthen our family units and minimize divorce. And so, if we are able to build strong marriages, we will build strong families. If we build strong families, then we will have a strong nation. Think about this. About $6 billion, and you can just do the math at your current exchange rate. But $6 billion is lost by American businesses every year as a result of decrease in workers' productivity due to marital difficulties. This shows how national productivity and the economy as a whole can be affected by the failure of marriages within a country. It is sad that some people tend to take care of their careers much more seriously than their marriage. But I have seen far too many people whose brilliant careers have crashed because their marriages failed. In fact, marital challenges have been known to ruin the best career opportunities, not just in the public sector, but also in private sector. Now, all these terrible statistics are related to marriages that have been decisively dissolved. However, the situation is just as disheartening for many marriages that have not yet ended up in divorce. You see, many couples are in this thing that I call a manage, not a marriage. They only manage to tolerate each other rather than to celebrate each other. They're like two sides of a coin that can't face each other, but they still stay together. So, how do we go from having manages to having marriage?